Why do some families stay wealthy for generations while others work just as hard and remain exactly where they started? It's not intelligence and it's not luck. There's a set of rules being followed that most people never learn exist. In this video, we're going to examine the actual financial behaviors that separate those who accumulate wealth from those who simply earn money. These aren't secret strategies or complicated investment schemes. They're quiet principles that have been passed down through wealthy families for centuries, and they operate on logic that's rarely explained clearly in mainstream financial education. In 1923, a gathering took place at the Edgewater Beach Hotel in Chicago. 9 of the world's most powerful financiers sat together, men who controlled more wealth than the entire U.S. Treasury at the time. 25 years later, historians checked what happened to each of them. Most had died broke, in prison, or in exile. They had money, but they didn't understand the difference between having money and keeping money. That difference is what we're going to explore. Wealthy families don't think about money the way most people do. While the average person sees money as something to earn and save, the wealthy see it as something that must move. They understand that money sitting still loses value, not just to inflation, but to opportunity cost. Every dollar that isn't working is a dollar that could have multiplied. This creates a fundamental split in behavior. One group parks their savings in accounts earning 0.5% interest, feeling responsible and safe. The other group immediately puts every available dollar into assets that generate more dollars, businesses, real estate, or instruments that pay them while they sleep. It's not about taking risks. It's about understanding that money is a tool, not a trophy. And this is where most financial education stops teaching you. There's a reason your school taught you that debt is bad, while the wealthy strategically use debt to build empires. To understand this, you need to see debt the way an accountant sees it, as leverage with a cost. If you borrow money at 4% to invest in something returning 10%, you've mathematically created wealth that didn't exist before. The average person uses debt to buy things that lose value: cars, furniture, experiences. The wealthy use debt exclusively to acquire things that produce income or appreciate in value. This isn't about being smarter or more disciplined. It's about understanding a simple equation that banks have always known. Borrowed money, used correctly, multiplies your power. The system allows this because the system was built by people who understand this. Your teachers told you to avoid debt because they were employees, not owners. Here's something uncomfortable. The tax code is written with rules for 2 different groups of people. One group trades time for money, gets taxed immediately, and then tries to survive on what remains. The other group creates assets, deducts expenses, and gets taxed only on what's left after their lifestyle is paid for. This isn't a loophole, it's the design. When you earn a salary, taxes come out before you see the money. When you own a business, you pay expenses first, live off those expenses, and then calculate taxes on the profit. Employees pay taxes and then live. Owners live and then pay taxes on what remains. The wealthy aren't cheating the system. They're using the system exactly as it was built to be used. Wealth is built on a timeline that most people aren't taught to think in. The average person plans in months or years: next paycheck, next vacation, next car payment. Wealthy families plan in decades and generations. This changes everything about how decisions are made. When you think in quarters, you optimize for short-term comfort. When you think in decades, you optimize for compounding, the quiet, unsexy process of small advantages multiplying over time. A poor person sees $10,000 as 6 months of freedom. A wealthy person sees it as a seed that could become $100,000 in 10 years if planted correctly. Neither view is wrong, but one builds dynasties and the other builds temporary relief. Now here is an unexpected truth for you. The rich aren't patient because they're virtuous, they're patient because they're not desperate. There's a reason financial news focuses on stock tips and market predictions. It keeps the general public focused on speculation rather than structure. Meanwhile, the wealthy focus on something entirely different: cash flow systems. They don't ask, will this stock go up? They ask, does this asset pay me every month regardless of what the market does? This is the difference between gambling and engineering. The public is taught to chase gains. The wealthy build machines that generate income whether they're awake or asleep. Rental properties, dividend portfolios, businesses with managers, these aren't exciting, but they're automatic. And automation, not intelligence, is what creates lasting wealth. Now here's a surprising economic behavior loop. While you're watching market tickers, they're collecting checks. Money doesn't just flow randomly, it flows through networks. The wealthy understand that proximity to capital, information, and opportunity is more valuable than the capital itself. They pay enormous sums to live in certain neighborhoods, join certain clubs, and send their children to certain schools. This isn't about status. It's about access to deals that never reach the public market. By the time an opportunity is advertised widely, the best returns have already been claimed by people who heard about it at a dinner table. The average person networks to find a job. The wealthy network to find asymmetric opportunities investments where the potential upside is 10 times the downside risk. This isn't unfair, it's structural. Systems naturally reward those who position themselves at the center of information flow. Now here's what connects all of this into a single framework. The wealthy don't follow different rules, they follow the actual rules, while everyone else follows the rules they were told about. There are two financial educations in this world, one taught in schools, and one taught at kitchen tables of families who have already accumulated wealth. School teaches you to be a good employee, get a degree, get a job, save 10%. Retire at 65. Wealthy families teach something else entirely. Own assets, use leverage intelligently, think in systems, optimize for cash flow, defer taxes legally, and compound over decades. Neither education is secret. One is simply incentivized by institutions that need workers, and the other is passed down by families that need wealth preservation. The gap between these two educations is the gap between working for money and having money work for you. And the moment you understand that distinction, everything changes. Step 1. Shift from saving to acquiring. Stop measuring your progress by how much cash you have in a bank account. Start measuring it by how many income-generating assets you control. This could be as simple as one rental property, a dividend-paying portfolio, or a small online business, anything that pays you without requiring your active time. Step 2. Study the tax code as a map. The tax code isn't punishment, it's an instruction manual. Spend a weekend learning the difference between W-2 income and business income, between capital gains and ordinary income. You don't need to become an accountant. You just need to see the shape of the game board you're actually playing on. Step 3. Extend your time horizon. Make one financial decision this year as if you're planning for 10 years from now. Buy something that will appreciate, invest in something that compounds, or build a skill that increases your earning power long term. This single shift from short-term relief to long-term structure is how generational wealth begins. Step 4. Position yourself near opportunity. Join communities, groups, or networks where people are building businesses, investing in real estate, or creating value. This doesn't mean abandoning your current life, it means deliberately adding 1 or 2 environments where financial conversations happen at a different level. Information is the ultimate asymmetry, and it flows through proximity. Step 5. Build a cash flow statement, not just a budget. Track not just what you spend, but what generates income for you automatically. Even if that number is 0 right now, the act of measuring it changes your psychology. You begin to see money as a system with inputs and outputs, not just a paycheck that disappears into expenses. The families that stay wealthy across generations aren't smarter or more hardworking than anyone else. They simply operate with a different set of instructions that prioritize assets over income, systems over effort, and decades over years. These instructions aren't hidden, but they're also not taught in the places most people learn about money. You've just seen the outline of a different map. The question now is whether you'll keep following the path you were given, or whether you'll start building toward the path that actually leads somewhere different. If this changed the way you see the financial system, leave a like and let me know in the comments which step you're starting with. Subscribe if you want more of these quiet examinations of how money actually works. The game doesn't change, but your position in it can.